fun movie, kids movie. I wouldn't show it to kids, but you should watch it and make sure that it's okay. Never trust a movie because it's basically from Disney. I think this one's from Disney. Let's find out who this really come from. Go look down here in my notes. I think this one's in Disney, John Disney. Debussy. Now, who made this sucker? This was made by One Entertainment. Who released it? Directed by Paramount Pictures. Made this one. Oh, that doesn't help any, but this one came out in 2001. Clifford the Big Red Dog. It's got lots of fantasy. This is a live action fantasy love feel good story. Well, I would show this to kids, but it's made for women and a date movie. It's a pretty good movie. It's actually a good movie. Lots of good special effects. So this one's based in New York. Elizabeth Howard, a 12-year-old middle school student, lives in an English accident mother. That's a career girl. She has to go off to all these kinds of things, live and learn, and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And her crazy brother lives in a van on the street and keeps getting tickets, trying to find jobs in the busy streets of Chicago for a business trip. So he has the brother that lives in a van in Chicago, has to go to New York to babysit a 12-year-old girl because mom's leaving. So he ends up getting there and losing the keys and make him look like an idiot. Well, I wish they wouldn't do that kind of making men look like idiots in their movies just for the fun of it. Paramount Pictures has been doing that quite a bit lately. And I'm not happy about it, but what can you do? Unless we decide to change the whole culture at one time, this is kind of the thing you're going to get. So anyway, they went out to collect cans for her school project. By the way, this was based on the children's book Clifford the Big Red Dog. If I remember right, that book came out in 1943 or something. Somebody's imagination about a German Shepherd. Anyway, so Clifford. So they end up going to collect cans, and they're going to Central Park, and there's a event going on in the park, and there's an animal rescue tent with several animals in it. It's a TARDIS tent. It's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, and it's smaller on the outside as it is, and it's bigger on the inside. It's either way, whichever way you want to put it, they put it, like they said it. But you got all kinds of animals in there, and the guy shows him several mice and birds and you name it, all these fancy animals, and he takes them into a section of the tent where there's nothing but no animals in there except for one that he kind of looks up at. And the kid, the brother, uncle, goes over and climbs up there and pulls the dog down off of his thing because he's waking up and looking down to see who's there. Then he says the daughter wants the dog, and she says that the brother, they were told by the purveyor, the magical guy that owns the fancy tent, that he'll get as big as long as you love him. He'll get really big as long as you love him. It kind of makes us think that if you love them, they'll just grow up to be a big, strong, healthy animal. But this was a little different because, this dog grew big. But the brother says that they can't have it, and then they go home, and the kid comes home from school and all that, and the backpack starts moving around in her room, and then all of a sudden she unzips it, and there's the dog. A little dog about the size of a chihuahua. And it's red. So they name it Clifford, and the dog dances around and acts like it understands humans, which is probably all anime, but that's okay. It's all pretty good. It's all special effects. Anyway, so they keep the dog, and the girl, 12-year-old girl, talks to the brother or uncle to keep the dog, so she can keep the dog, and she keeps it in the apartment, and then feeds it, waters it, takes care of it, loves it. And then in the morning, Clifford's 6 foot tall at the shoulders or bigger, and he's filling up the whole room like a big dog would. And they can't figure out why he grew so big. So they took him out for a walk and squirted on a tree. And Clifford decided over in Central Park, those big round balls people climb into and walk in. I don't know why you'd want to climb into a big plastic ball full of air and walk around, but lots of people do it. So they had those going in Central Park, and Clifford decides that's a ball my size, and takes off. Then there's another lab. There's a lab that's trying to grow animals bigger so they can feed the world. So if you make an animal bigger, there's more meat, more food to feed the world. According to the movie, they're running out of food in the world. So there's some politics right there for you. Then the bad guy at the thing sees the news report after Clifford chased the ball around and brought the guy back with a flat ball to the 12-year-old girl and her uncle, which was kind of funny, but it was kind of good. Then they told Clifford to drop it. He lets go of the ball, and they hook him up and walk off like nothing ever happened. Police reports are made, and the guy at the lab decides he wants to claim the dog because, they don't know how he grew so big. And they want to figure out how to make their animals grow so big and not be mean like their sheep, the sheep that was double its size. They have turkeys and everything else that grew double their size. In the show, or in the lab, then they go and try to put a chip in the dog saying it belongs to the company, and so they go chase the dog down, find him, corner him, put the chip in his shoulder, his neck, and then they end up getting the dog to the lab after a while, after the police arrest the dog, figuring it was danger because it's so big. They thought about shipping it up to China with a friend of theirs so they could be safe from the police, but it didn't work because that's where the lab caught the dog on the deck of a ship, and they hauled it back to their lab, and then the uncle and the 12-year-old daughter, plus a few friends from the neighborhood, decided to go get the dog, and they got the dog free, and the 12-year-old girl rides it off to Central Park, and that's where they had their confrontation, and she has to speak real loud, and they thought the old man died that gave them the dog. Speaks real loud about the dog and who owns it, and fought the lab in public, tried this in public instead of at a court. That's a good place to be. Yeah, the girlfriend, fiance, I think she is, just texted me. We'll see about that come July. We'll see what happens there. She keeps texting me silly stuff. But it's fun. So anyway, they ordered the police to capture the dog. She talks to the public around her, and she ends up winning their heart. And then they take the ID chip scanner, the RFID chip scanner, and they scan the dog, and the chip comes back after a few moments of pause to the 12-year-old girl, and they live happily ever after. The kind of movie gets over with, which I thought it was a pretty good movie. I kind of like it. It turned out to be a real good movie for kids, and I do that a lot. I show it to kids a lot. I take the DVD sometimes, or I just take my computer and show it off the server because I've got it on the server. And that's kind of interesting on how they do that. How they did this movie. So Paramount Pictures distributed this thing worldwide. Entertainment One and Canada and United Kingdom were part of the production team distributing this thing. It came from it was released August 26, 2021 in Comic Con. Oh, it's a Comic Con. Comic Con. And then November 10th, 2021, it was released in the United States worldwide. Then it was 1990. It was 96 minutes long. Countries it was released in was Canada, United States, and it looks like United Kingdom, but they show Canada and the United States. They spent $64 million making this thing, and they made $107.4 million. Not big profit, but they made a profit on it. Some of the movies go further than that. So, like I say, I'd call this a good kids movie. There's few politics in it, so you got to be careful to have a well-balanced kid before you really show them stuff like this. But it's a good movie, and I definitely liked it, and we'll watch it over and over again. And I've had it since it came out, and I'm just now talking about it. So that tells you how far behind I am. Anyway, so take care, be safe, and we'll see you on the next round.